the real. 3 words from a former president of the United States on a podcast, casually, like he was talking about the weather. And just like that, the world changed. But here's what nobody is telling you. That wasn't the scary part. The scary part was what happened next. The sitting president of the United States accused his predecessor of leaking classified information about aliens. Think about what that actually means. Stay with me, because in the next 10 minutes, you're going to watch a decades-long cover-up, the biggest in human history, begin to crack open in real time. And once you see it, you cannot unsee it. For as long as humans have existed, we've looked up, not with wonder, with dread. There's something hardwired into our brains, something ancient and primal that looks at the infinite black expanse above us and whispers, "What if something is looking back?" Psychologists and historians have studied this obsession for decades, and what they've found is fascinating and deeply unsettling. We don't just fear aliens, we project our deepest anxieties onto them. During the Cold War, when nuclear annihilation felt like a Tuesday away, UFO sightings exploded across America. The skies became a canvas for our collective terror. Invasion of the Body Snatchers wasn't really about aliens. It was about the communist infiltrating your neighbor, your family, yourself. Then came Alien, the Thing, body horror. The fear evolved. No longer were we afraid of being replaced. We became afraid of being consumed, of our own biology being shattered by something we couldn't even comprehend. Famous psychiatrist Carl Jung had a theory for this. He called it the technological angel archetype. Modern humans, staring down the barrel of extinction, look to the skies for saviors, for beings more advanced than us to fix what we've broken. But nobody's coming to save us. And the real horror, the real suffocating, keep you up at 3 a.m. horror, it's not that they might be out there. It's that the people running our governments might already know and have been lying to us for generations. And then, on an otherwise ordinary day in February 2026, a former president of the United States accidentally confirmed it. February 20th, 2026, Barack Obama sits down for a casual appearance on the No Lie podcast with journalist Brian Tyler Cohen. It's supposed to be light, conversational, a former president being charming and witty. And then, the question: are aliens real? Obama doesn't hesitate. He doesn't laugh it off. He doesn't give a politician's answer. He looks into the camera and says, "They're real." The internet did not merely react, it detonated. But Obama wasn't finished. He elaborated and somehow made it worse. "They're real, but I haven't seen them." Okay, fine. Maybe he just means statistically, mathematically, the universe is vast, and they are not being kept in Area 51. Wait, hold on. Why would you specify where they're not being kept unless you know where they are? He went further. There's no underground facility unless there's this enormous conspiracy and they hid it from the President of the United States. And there it is, the tell, the slip, because what Obama just described, almost word for word, is exactly what whistleblowers have been alleging for years, a conspiracy so large, so compartmentalized, that even the president is kept in the dark. Now, Obama clearly felt the ground shift beneath him, because within hours he was on Instagram, furiously trying to walk it back. It was a speed round. He was speaking statistically. The distances between solar systems make contact extremely low. And this is the one that feels rehearsed, I saw no evidence during my presidency that extraterrestrials have made contact with us. Really? Really? He actually wrote "really" with an exclamation mark. When a former president uses an exclamation mark to deny alien contact on Instagram, something has gone very, very wrong. But it was too late. The door was open. And then Donald Trump walked through it, carrying a flamethrower. February 19, 2026, Air Force One. Fox News correspondent Peter Doocy asks the sitting president of the United States a question that even 2 weeks prior would have seemed insane. Are aliens real? Have you seen any evidence of non-human visitors to Earth? Now, any normal president deflects this, laughs, says, I'll leave the alien questions to Hollywood. Not Trump. Trump leans in and he says something that should have broken the internet, but somehow got lost in the noise. He gave classified information. He's not supposed to be doing that. Stop. Read that back. The sitting president of the United States just accused a former president of leaking classified intelligence by saying 2 words on a podcast. They're real. If those 2 words constitute a leak of classified information, then the government has classified, verified, documented evidence of non-human life. That's the only logical conclusion. That's not conspiracy theory. That's basic deductive reasoning. But Trump wasn't done. When pressed on the entities themselves, he didn't deny it. He didn't laugh. He went ambiguous, which, from a man who is never ambiguous, is terrifying in its own right. I don't know if they're real or not. I can tell you he gave classified information. He made a big mistake. And then the threat, the move that turns this from a political squabble into something that feels genuinely historic. I may get him out of trouble by declassifying. The President of the United States just dangled the declassification of alien intelligence files as a political bargaining chip. And the very next day, he pulled the trigger. February 20th, 2026, Trump takes to Truth Social and issues a directive that in any other era would have been front page of every newspaper on the planet. He is ordering the release of government files related to, and I'm quoting directly here, alien and extraterrestrial life, unidentified aerial phenomena, and unidentified flying objects. But here's the detail that made researchers and historians do a double take. He directed the order to the Secretary of War, not the Secretary of Defense, the Secretary of War, a title that hasn't been used officially since 1947. 1947, the same year as the Roswell incident. Whether that's deliberate or coincidence, you decide, but the tone it sets is unmistakable. This isn't a transparency exercise. This is a government preparing to go to war with its own secrets. The crypts are being opened. But to understand why this moment is so explosive, you need to understand the trail of breadcrumbs that led here. So let's move fast. 2013, the U.S. government finally admits Area 51 exists. 60 years of denial, gone just like that. 2017, Pentagon insiders leak classified Navy videos to the New York Times. Objects moving in ways that defy physics. Green triangles floating over warships. No explanation.
2019, Trump admits he was briefed on UFOs, says he's not particularly a believer. Classic. 2020, asked about Roswell, Trump says, and I love this, I won't talk to you about what I know about it, but it's very interesting. That's not a denial, that's a tease. 2022, Congress holds the first public UFO hearings in 50 years. Something is forcing their hand. 2023, military veterans testify before the House under oath, calling UAPs a severe national security threat, accusing the government of dangerous, deliberate secrecy. 2024, the Pentagon releases a report blaming most sightings on weather balloons, spy planes, and satellites. The internet responds accordingly.
Also, 2024. An internal report reveals the government has logged 1,652 UAP reports, 1,700 encounters with unknown aerial phenomena, and we're supposed to believe it's all weather balloons. Now here's where the story stops being political and starts being genuinely, cosmically terrifying. Meet John Kozlowski, director of AARO, the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, the man whose entire job is to look at UAP data and find a rational, scientific explanation. He has a background in physics and engineering. He's spent years in the intelligence community. He is, by every measure, exactly the kind of person you'd want looking at this data. And here is what he said, word for word, publicly. Some of these were interesting cases that my physics and engineering background and time in the intelligence community, I do not understand, and I don't know anybody else who understands them either. Let that settle. The director of the government's official UFO investigation office, a physicist, an engineer, an intelligence veteran, is staring at data that his entire field of human knowledge cannot explain. He's not saying it's probably something we haven't categorized yet. He's saying, I don't understand it, and nobody I've ever met understands it either. That's not a bureaucratic admission. That's a man standing at the edge of the known universe and realizing the map ends here. When the brightest scientific minds in the most powerful government on Earth look at something and say, I don't know, the horror isn't abstract anymore. It's real, it's documented, it's sitting in a filing cabinet somewhere in Washington, D.C., and in a few weeks or days, it might be sitting on your screen. So, here's where we are, right now, February 2026. A former president accidentally confirmed the existence of non-human life and was immediately accused of leaking classified intelligence for doing so. A sitting president, in what appears to be a political power move, has ordered the unsealing of decades of government secrets. The director of the government's own UFO office has admitted on record that some of what they're seeing breaks physics. And somewhere in the Pentagon, in vaults that have been locked since before most of us were born, are 1,652 documented encounters with something that humanity cannot explain. The question that's haunted us since we first looked up at the stars, are we alone, is no longer a philosophical musing. It is a classified document with a stamp on it, being reviewed by federal agents right now. And the answer to that question, whatever it is about to become public record. What happens when it does? If the files show weather balloons and drones, the cover-up was real, and the government lied to us for 60 years about that alone. If the files show something else, well, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it.
won't we? Carl Jung said we look to the skies for technological angels, beings who will descend and save us from ourselves. But the real revelation of 2026 isn't that something might be up there. It's that the truth was always down here, in the filing cabinets, in the classified vaults, in the classified briefings that presidents receive and are apparently not allowed to mention on podcasts. The horror was never in the cosmos. The horror was always in the cover-up. And the files are about to be opened.